Andor is fantastic. Most fans agree that this show is the best Star Wars we've had in a long time. Some tout the attention to detail, which we covered in a previous video. Some love the set design and the use of real locations, and others still claim that the darker and more serious storytelling is what gives Andor its quality. Whatever your personal high points are, Andor is delivering, and I'm glad that most of you are appreciating it. Some Star Wars fans, however, don't like this show. Many of them fell off after the second episode. Some never even watched the first. Let's take a look at their main reasons for hating this show and address why these supposed shortcomings are actually Andor's greatest strengths. The largest complaint against this show is that there are no Jedi or Sith. By extension, we can assume that these people are also upset that we don't have much connection to the larger established Star Wars universe. This probably stems from a lack of nostalgia. There aren't any classic characters they grow up with, any locations that take them back to their childhood, and no laser swords to remind them of a simpler time. But Andor doesn't need that. If Darth Vader showed up to defend against the Aldhani attack, it would certainly be cool, but it would rob the show of perspective. Think of how intimidating and insane the Vader hallway scene was in Rogue One. The reason this moment means so much is because we've seen the mortal struggle of the rebels. We've seen them in the trenches. We've seen them fight and die to get to where they are. Force users are on a completely different level from anyone else, and when one comes along, the rebel forces are completely powerless to stop him, and they know it. I would definitely be okay with Force users to be brought into this show at some point, but only if tastefully done, as it was in Rogue One. The next complaint is that Andor is a boring show. We've talked about this at length during our Monday night shows, but to summarize, those people are conflating slow with boring. Andor is definitely slow, but for those willing to invest a little bit of mental effort, they find detail instead of boredom. Andor is rich. Not one scene, not one line of dialogue is wasted. No episode is filler. And when we do finally get to the action, as some people have mentioned, all that setup and all the seemingly mundane dialogue, all the personal connections pay off in a big way. The action means something. Again, think to Rogue One. The death of each character means so much more than just one less fighter on the battlefield. We've spent time with these people, and we know things about them. Andor is slow, but it is only boring if you ignore everything searching for the action. Lastly, many of you commented that you are really enjoying this show, and that your only gripe is the lack of alien life. I don't really have a rebuttal to that, but I suppose that the issue doesn't really bother me. In fact, I hadn't even noticed it until I read your comments. Perhaps the prison on Narkina 5 is a humans-only prison, and that there are other locations better equipped at accommodating aliens. And to my knowledge, the only alien we've seen in the Imperial hierarchy is Grand Admiral Thrawn. We have seen aliens in this show, but as many of you pointed out, none with prominent or consequential roles. Let me know your complaints down below, and be sure to continue this discussion in my Discord server. May the stash be with you, and I will see you wherever I happen to see you in the galaxy.